Hi, I'm Chris Nedza, Lead Entrepreneur in Residence of the Advanced Technology Development Center at Georgia Tech. We're the state of Georgia's technology incubator. Welcome to Season 1 of the ATDC podcast, Executive Bytes. We focus on the startup founders in our portfolio, what sparked them to launch their companies, the market problem they've solved, and even how they overcame the thoughts of quitting when times get rough. Enjoy. Well, welcome back to this episode of Executive Bytes. And David Hailey, you've got a great company called Countifi, and we're going to dig into you and really learn more about you and your company. And Brett Rogers from TendoNova, thanks for co-hosting.
Yeah.
So should we roast him good today? Or
Absolutely.
what?
It's good to be on this side.
Yeah.
This time.
Yeah.
I'm used to getting roasted, so
Yeah.
bring it on.
Well, I'm going to bring it on because it's something that you do. Countifi starts with C-O-U-N-T, so there's a little hint about what you guys do. But you're kind of an inventory counting company of a very unique, in a very unique space and very unique technology. So,
Right.
So it started with the airline industry, right?
It did start with
so
the
you're
airline
counting
industry.
planes. Those shouldn't be too hard to find. And
Not
count.
planes. You'd be surprised. We're not counting planes. But my background is accounting. So I was an accountant, worked at E&Y for a while, worked in the airline industry as well. And I realized that onboard inventory, so counting the stuff that is placed on board, food, beverages, plates, cups, all that stuff, is a huge industry. The airline industry will spend about $4 billion per year of stuff that goes on the plane, is never touched, comes off the plane, has to be thrown away.
Wow.
Right. So we're like, and that doesn't, $4 billion.
Whoa.
So that's why my
every
plane
year.
tickets are
That's
so
why
high.
your plane tickets are
That's
so
why they
right.
throw nuts at you as you're
Right,
walking down the hall.
exactly. And so because of that, I said there has to be, and that doesn't even include the disposal costs, the labor that goes into it, fuel costs, things like that. And so I figured out there has to be a better way to count these items to understand what customers are consuming on the plane, right? So you can load less. If people aren't consuming it, you're just flying around weight around the world. How can we decrease that, right? Decrease the inventory spend, decrease the labor associated with it, and also decrease fuel, increase overall sustainability.
Really,
Sure.
it actually has an impact on the. It should, right? Stuff
That makes sense. Yeah.
weighs.
Yeah. We are just doing a project where in our dashboards, our details show all of that because every week can calculate the weight, right? And so we can see over a time how much weight could have been removed from the plane, right? That people weren't consuming. So if you think about it, you put a Coke on a plane,
Yeah.
it flies around, nobody takes it, you take it back off, then you put it on another plane, take it off. But that is weight that you're just flying around the world that you're
It's
spending.
just like delivering a package across the country over and over and over again to go
Exactly.
to your
Exactly.
down the street.
Yeah.
Right.
But you don't deliver the package, right? You're just taking it to somebody's house, turning
And then
around,
just
taking
throw
it back.
away.
And so you got people out there in the airport counting. No.
So no, we actually
No way.
no.
This
So,
is the cool part.
Yeah,
Here
so
we go.
we use artificial intelligence. We use AI to take a picture of those items and count them automatically. So we have hardware cameras, or we have a mobile app as well. And so we have cameras pretty much around the world that look at items as they come off the plane and tell you, hey, these are the items that are not being consumed. These are items that you're putting back. And so we do beverages, but we can do food as well. You know, where we have it working with a airline in Europe now, looking at all the food that comes off. They say, hey, what is coming off of that is you throw away directly, right? The food goes on the plane, it cannot be saved, and so we throw it away directly. So anything that's not touched has to go into a waste bin.
And what kind of inventory accuracy is there?
Yep. So we guarantee over 98 to 99% accuracy on
Really?
all our items, right? So we build an AI model, and you will show something called a confusion matrix that will show by item how accurate is that model. And so we share that with our clients as well. So over time, right, day one it's not that accurate, right? Because the model has to learn. It's machine learning as well. So the more and more images you have, the smarter the machine gets, the smarter the model gets. Right? So,
I see. But so your initial customer are the airlines. Are you able to use the learnings from one airline and that process, and then make your model that much more smarter? The LLM that smarter for the next one that comes up?
in some cases. So a can of Coke, a can of Sprite, a can of Diet Coke is all the same regardless of where you are.
Sure.
Now we have had issues. We had a client in the UAE, and so the can was written in Arabic. Right, so we can still see that it is a can of Coke, but the level of accuracy might be a little different because it's not English.
I see.
Right?
Oh, wow,
and so but even if you're looking at the top of that can, if you go only see a couple millimeters, sometimes the language doesn't matter. You're looking at the colors, you're looking at the color pattern of that particular can.
Interesting.
Right.
So how in the world did you get this idea to be? You went from bean counter to can counter.
Bean counter, can counter, right?
Yeah,
That should be our new motto. I was an auditor, so I was on planes counting this stuff, right?
Oh, wow.
As an auditor,
yeah.
even when I was at EY audits a lot of airlines around the world, Delta, United.
So you were that associate that got the dreaded go count the inventory.
Exactly. And
Like
those inventories,
purgatory. Yes.
Exactly.
What did you-
And a lot of times, if companies have a 12/31 year end, a lot of times those inventory counts are on 1/1.
Yeah.
So there's no New Year's party. You can't hang out like you want to because
No.
I got to be at
I got to be at work.
Oh,
I
I
got
got
to
to
be
be at
no.
work at 7 o'clock to count this inventory. And it's all manual, and you'd be surprised, it's still very manual. And so we started in the airline space, but there's other industries that that we're divvying into now as well.
And you guys are growing like crazy too. I mean,
We are growing. Yeah, we are growing. We've added. We're still 100% bootstrap, and so we're working on a capital raise.
I hope you're always bootstrapped.
Yeah.
But you know what? Those venture capitalists, you guys listen. This one's a good one. So they can help you scale. That's for sure.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a mixture, right? We know that the future of AI is coming, and we know that eventually people have glasses. Like we think that over the next 10 years, counting will probably be commoditized at and using AI at some point. And so we know we have a limited amount of time to get as deep as we can in several industries. Airlines is one that we're doing pretty well at. Healthcare is another one that there's still a lot of manual counting.
Oh, so like supplies, medical supplies.
Medical supplies,
Okay. I get that.
usually higher dollar ones. So we're working with a hospital in North Carolina now looking at high-end medical devices. So robot armed for a Da Vinci machine.
Right,
If you know about like implants, so shoulders, knees,
Yeah.
elbows, implants are very high dollars, and one can make a difference, right? And so if you have an easy way to count those items automatically, always know what that status is, then it adds value.
So you were in pain as an auditor, and you thought, here we go. Now, how did you invent the technology? Did you invent the technology? Because you have a hardware component, but I think the secret sauce is the software and the algorithms and all that.
Exactly, yeah. So I did not invent I am not techie at all. So I'm a non-technical founder. Our head of AI actually did go to Georgia Tech.
Okay.
So it's another connection. But as artificial intelligence grows, it's grown tremendously over the last 4 or 5 years. And everybody has a phone in their pocket, right? So you can do a lot of things on the edge, build these models, take the pictures, and it really just recognizing the problem. Like, what is this problem? And I always tell my friends and my team, what is the problem? Is somebody willing to pay for it?
Yep.
Right? If somebody willing to pay for it, you might have a company. Right? Depends on how much they want to pay
Somebody
for it.
besides mom.
Somebody besides mom and dad and cousins and aunts and uncles. They might have a company. So how we really built the technology in the very beginning is looking at these specific items, looking at these specific inventory items. And I knew what the waste was because I was close to the industry, understood what the waste was, and come in and say, hey, we can reduce your waste, reduce labor, reduce fuel, those 3 items with this AI, with the Countifi platform.
So this is your beachhead. Like your beachhead market is airlines, and then you're looking to expand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we are trying to dig as deep as we can in the airline, be the AI inventory guys for the airline industry. So now we work with airlines in the U.S., Latin America, Europe.
So are you doing any? If you can answer this, I don't know. You might be understanding. Are you doing any DoD work?
Yeah, so we're actually, it's funny you say that because we are working or applying for a small business innovation research platform now, SBIR, S-B-I-R.
Yeah, SBIR.
And so, yes.
And Connie Castile.
Yes, I've met Connie Castile.
ATDC's Connie Castile. She's
Does
amazing.
a great job.
Great research.
Shout out to Connie.
Yep. Hello, Connie. Yeah,
She's amazing.
So, yes, and that's the great part. That's the gift and the curse about our platform because it can help so many industries. But one thing you have to do is focus, right?
That's
you're
right.
not chasing squirrels, and so we are really laser focused on the airline space. It's about 70% of what we do. The healthcare space is we're coming up, and it's about 25%, and then we spend the other 5-10% on other things.
So it seems like a no-brainer for them. What's the pushback that you get? Is it because they're bureaucrats because they think they can count better? Or what's the pushback? You should have them beating the doors down.
No, a lot of industries are just very traditional and afraid of change. Truthfully, that's
it's inertia, right?
It is inertia.
It's just that's the way we've always been doing it.
Exactly. And as a startup, the first question we'll always get is, who else is using it?
Yeah.
Who else is using it? What have you saved them?
Yeah.
Right.
We got some good logos now. So
right, exactly. And we have white papers that show like here's what we're working on, here's what we're doing. And so slowly, I mean, we've been around about 3.5 years, and so slowly people are coming on, and now we're getting more calls inbound than we do outbound.
They're just working on that adoption curve.
Exactly, and showing the value. The value is the main point, right?
So how are you building? So you're trying to build a flywheel, right? How are you managing your sales, or how are you building your sales team? Is it largely founder sales right now, or It's a mixture of both. So we do have one salesperson that's strictly focused on airline sales. Okay.
Him and myself. So he's based out of Canada. Really deep industry in the airline space. Has worked for about 10 different airlines in the catering space, and so he was actually working for that with an airline in the UK.
So you're gonna make that jump to having a couple salespeople to building a sales organization, and man, that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's what I hear. I don't know if it's fun or if
no, it's not fun.
Yeah, I don't know. So sales,
you know what salespeople are good at? They're good at selling themselves,
yes,
right?
Exactly.
But it often takes a while to figure out, are they actually selling?
I think part of it for us is finding the right person that understands the industry and speaks the vocabulary.
Yeah.
Right. And so you're going into medical sales is very different than airline sales.
Yeah. Right.
And so we've tried to like talk to hospitals the same way we talk to airlines, and it just doesn't work. They just don't get it. And so that value proposition, the conversations that you have are very different.
Yeah. How do you attract somebody that's coming from like a McKesson? I'm thinking would be if you're a McKesson sales rep, you'd probably be a good
Right. Understanding our buyers. So look at in the healthcare space, we look at our buyers, right? So it's either somebody in supply chain, logistics, or finance, right? Somebody who manages that P&L. And so someone who understands that problem, has understood that problem before, it will be good at communicating that problem to other people from a sales perspective. Now, we haven't hired anybody in healthcare sales yet,
right?
But that's our thought process.
Now, are you a bolt-on to ERP systems, do you think? Or, I mean, you may be already doing that, I don't know.
Yeah, so we are. So we can, we already, as long as the ERP system accepts an API, right? And so we have made interfaces with Workday, SAP, Oracle, because really from accounting perspective, what usually happens in all these industries is there's either a physical count that somebody does, and they either key it in or they go back with a clipboard and a piece of paper, and they put it in the system.
Done that many times.
Exactly.
It's not fun.
Exactly. So there's a way for you to have a direct connection. Here's a picture.
Yeah.
Right? Here's a picture. Here's the details from that, and we put it in a database as well. And we either have a direct connect with the ERP system, or we have a dashboard as well that can show exactly what the counts are, exactly what the savings are, exactly what the value that we're adding to the organization.
Cool.
So you were in big corporate making big bucks, and then you decided to jump off into this. Did you have a pilot lined up already, or how did you make that ridiculously stupid decision?
That's what my wife says. What
Safety.
the hell are you doing? Right. We did not. But I thought, as a first-time entrepreneur, I thought, hey, I'll leave a job on Friday. I'm going to have $1 million contract on Monday. Right?
Yeah, you are just not legit. You make one up.
Yeah. Did not work like that. So we actually ended up winning a JetBlue competition at an airline conference.
Oh, wow.
And
okay.
And so they flew us out. It was me and my team. They flew us out to Las Vegas at this conference, and we put a booth up. Yeah. Had a booth, and this is right after COVID. And so, airlines aren't really spending any money, but they're still trying to understand kind of what's around. But we stuck to it, stuck to our value proposition. Here's how we can save you. And then slowly, as airlines started realizing, hey, we need to save, and we realized how much we're wasting. Yeah. We realized it's a big sustainability issue as well. Because you have to make it make sense from a dollars and cents perspective, right? Yeah. Everybody loves sustainability, but it has to make dollars and cents.
Yeah. I've been a founder a couple of times, and my kids would always ask me, Dad, when did you know you made it?
You said, I still haven't. I still don't know.
I still don't know, yeah. Exactly.
Haven't.
Yeah, exactly. That's the truth.
What has made it?
That's the truth. I mean, and especially from a startup, like the first time founder, you just find, and a non-technical founder as well in a technical space. There's so much you don't know, right? So I tell me and my team, we have to be a sponge, right? Well, obviously we have technical people on the team, but we have to be a sponge because there's a lot of stuff that we don't know about. Just simple tech, simple startup life.
Yeah.
We don't know, and so we try not to be. I try not to take it personal because when I first started, it's like, what you mean you don't want to be a customer? That doesn't make any sense. Like, what's wrong with you?
This is the greatest thing. You just don't understand.
You just don't understand.
Right.
But you have to look inward and say, what am I not explaining correctly? Or what am I not saying to make it resonate with them to understand the value?
When you're recruiting people and talent, what's your filter to figure out whether you've got a good hire or not?
So, one, we try to stay away from assholes, right?
It's a good place to start, for sure.
Right? Because nobody wants to work with them, whether you like it or not. And so it's hard to say, and as you said, some people are really good salespeople. So we usually try to bring people on for about 3 to 6 months first, like a probational period, to work with the team. Or if someone, like, work on a project. And so we'll bring people on as contractors first. It's like, let's work on this project. We had one guy last year that worked with us, and he was just an asshole. Like, our head of AI came on the call, and he was like, well, what's your role in the company?
Yeah.
And he had been there like 2 weeks. And he was like, what's your role in the company? Like, and I saw immediately it was combative.
Yeah.
Right? Just because more like, how can I help? Like, we try to have helpers.
So they got to be nice.
Yeah, got to be nice, and have to want to learn. I think have to want to
curious-minded.
Curious-minded, and have to have a positive attitude.
Energetic.
Right? Energetic and smart, right?
You know, it's so funny because mine are, they've got to be smart, they've got to be energetic, they got to be curious-minded, they got to be humble, and they got to be nice.
Yeah.
You got that, I can pretty much deal with it. You know?
And I think you want someone who's bought into the company. As a startup, you want somebody that believes in the vision. Mm-hmm. They're just not there to get a paycheck. They're there because they really feel like this is something that's going to make a difference.
Yeah, that's right. All right, so here's the hook question for you. I want to know, I'm sure you haven't ever thought about this. Have you ever thought about quitting?
Yeah, all the time.
And all right, so now that's like a common yes,
all
right?
the time.
What do you do?
Last week.
What's your secret, like your thing that gets you through that?
I think understanding my team, right? And knowing that we still haven't solved the problem that we started with. Knowing that there is still a big problem that we're here to solve. And so, yes, I wanted to quit. I've went on like job boards, like, I need to find a job because this is not going to work. This is not going to work. I need to find a job. And then the next day we'll get a call from a potential customer, right? Or the next week you'll get a call from a potential customer. Yeah. And like our customers can be pretty large. Like airlines can be Delta, United, British, Emirates, or caterers. And so it can be, even though we might not have a small amount of customers, they can be large contracts, right? Because we show what we can save. And so to answer your question, it's always the same reason why I was quitting my corporate job. Like, this is something that was always in my mind. Every day I wake up, I'm thinking about this. Mm-hmm. Every day I go to bed, I'm thinking about this, right? And so even if I quit, I'm still gonna be thinking. It's still gonna be
there. All right. So okay. Last question for you. So since you're always thinking about this, Dana, because I think you said you're married, right?
Yep.
Does that interfere? And how do you deal with that personal side of on the phone? You're always thinking about. You're always doing it.
That is tough. I'm not gonna lie. Like anybody who comes in and says you can't believe Instagram, like they have all these wonderful companies and wonderful relationships.
Right.
Like it never
takes work.
It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of communication. And I have 2 kids as well, right? And so it's a lot of community. And I'm not the best about communicating either. Mm-hmm. It's been times where
I wouldn't have guessed that.
Yeah, it's been times where because you don't want to communicate the bad stuff.
Yeah.
Like I'm a very optimistic person.
Yeah.
And so you feel like if you communicate the bad and what's not working, then they're like, well, why are you doing this anyway? Why don't you go back and get a job?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it stops you from sharing the bad news, which is why I think organizations like ATDC are very important. Yeah. Where you have other people that you can talk to, communicate with, and say, hey, here's my struggle.
They're living the same thing. You're living
the same life.
Yeah.
Right.
It's hard. It's very hard. So, but
I don't think we give enough credit to our spouses.
Not at all.
It's work on their side too.
Oh yeah.
It's not just we're doing the work and it's hard on us. They probably have it much worse than we do. We just don't even know.
Yeah. I try to be as supportive as I can, truthfully. But it's times, at a startup, sometimes 1 month a paycheck might come, 1 month a paycheck might not come, right?
Yeah.
And so you have to manage that, and you have to manage, overall finances. One good story I will say is my 15-year-old son just started a business, right? I think he saw like being an entrepreneur. I told him, I said, "What are you gonna do? You gonna get a job, or what are you gonna?" He's like, "No." So he has a trash can business that he takes people's trash back and forth from the street, right? Yeah. And he makes $50 to $100 a week just doing that, and it takes him 30 minutes. Right, and so, but I don't think he would have had that entrepreneur spirit if it wasn't coming to my office, talking to other founders.
So I don't know whether that's a good thing you did to your son or a bad thing. But hey, David, it's awesome having you as my guest. Thank you so much. I love Countifi. I love what you're doing. I'm an old warehouse guy, so I really love it, and I love spending time with you too.
Yeah, it's a pleasure, man.
And Brett, love it.
This is great.
Thank you guys for being my guest and my co-host, and we'll do it again sometime.
For sure. Sounds good.
Sure. Thanks for sharing your insight.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the ATDC podcast. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, like, and share or connect wherever you get your podcast at ATDC on X, LinkedIn, and Instagram.